Hi everyone, let's read this interesting article to practice English. To practice English, we need to focus on the words, phrases, sentences that we would like to remember later on. So while reading the article, we should focus on the syntax, semantics, words, vocabulary, and all sorts of things. Is a collection of our efforts to learn and remember the expressions. Here we go. Why do we remember more by reading in print versus on our screen? The author of How We Read now explains. This one is a Neuropsych, May 9th, 2021, BT. Naomi S. Barron, Professor of Linguistics Emerita, American University. During the pandemic, many college professors abandoned assignments from printed textbooks and turned instead to digital texts or multimedia coursework. As a professor of linguistics, I have been studying how electronic communication compares to traditional print when it comes to learning. Is comprehension the same whether a person reads a text on screen or on paper? And are listening and viewing content as effective as reading the written word when covering the same material? The answers to both questions are often no, as I discuss in my book, How We Read Now, released in March 2021. Personally, I would like to read on paper instead of on a screen because I cannot focus more on the screen. I would rather have more comfortable, more serene, a more meditative moment when I read materials, read books from in a paper form. The reasons relate to a variety of factors, including diminished concentration, of course, an entertainment mindset, yes, and a tendency to multitask while consuming digital content. Of course, we play music on YouTube and watch TV on the screen, and we read a book on our smartphone. So it's very difficult to concentrate, and we do have multitasking opportunity. Print versus digital reading. When reading texts, what the fuck happened? Yeah. When reading texts of several hundred words or more, learning is generally more successful when it's on paper than on screen. On paper than on screen. A cascade of research confirms this finding. The benefits of print particularly shine through when experimenters move from posing simple tasks, like identifying the main idea in the reading passage, to ones that require mental abstraction, such as drawing inferences from a text. Print reading also improves the likelihood of recalling details like what was the color of the doctor's hair and remembering where in a story events occurred. Did the accident happen before or after the political coup? Studies show that both grade school students and college students assume they will get higher scores on a comprehension test if they have done the reading digitally, and yet they actually score higher when they have read the material in print before being tested. Educators need to be aware that the method used for standardized testing can affect results. Studies of Norwegian 10th graders and U.S. 3rd through 8th graders report higher scores when standardized tests were administered using paper. In the US study, the negative effects of digital testing were strongest among students with low reading achievement scores, English language learners, and special education studies students. So it's bad for English language learners when the tests are given on screen instead of on paper. My own research and that of colleagues approached the question differently. Rather than having students read and take a test, we asked how they perceived their overall learning when they used print or digital reading materials. Both high school and college students overwhelmingly judged reading on paper as better for concentration, learning, and remembering than reading on paper or reading digitally or reading on screen. The discrepancies between print and digital results are partly related to paper's physical properties. With paper, there is a literal laying on of hands along with the visual geography of distinct pages. People often link their memory of what they've read to how far into the book it was or what it was on the page. But equally important is mental perspective and what reading researchers call a shallowing hypothesis. According to this theory, people approach digital texts with a mindset suited to casual social media and devote less mental effort than when they are reading print. They exert less effort. Hey, readers, do you agree with this point? I totally agree with this one. Like I said, I'm drinking water while trying to read material. Multitasking and more like an entertainment mindset instead of trying to really focusing on the material. Sorry about that. So let's get back and finish things up. Podcasts and online video. Given increased use of flipped classrooms where students listen to or view lecture content before coming to class, along with more public available podcasts and online video content, many school assignments that previously entailed reading have been replaced with listening or viewing. These substitutions have accelerated during the pandemic and moved to virtual learning. Surveying U.S. and Norwegian university faculty in 2019, University of Stavanger Professor Anne Mengen and I found that 32% of U.S. faculty were now replacing texts with video materials, and 17% reported doing so with audio. The numbers were somewhat lower in Norway, but in both countries, 40% of respondents who had changed their course requirements over the past 5 to 10 years reported assigning less reading today. A primary reason for the shift to audio and video is students refusing to do assigned reading. While the problem is hardly new, a 2015 study of more than 18,000 college seniors found only 21% usually completed all their assigned course reading. Audio and video can feel more engaging than text, and so faculty increasingly resort to these technologies. Say, assigning a TED Talk instead of an article by the same person, maximizing mental focus. Psychologists have demonstrated that when adults read news stories or transcripts of fiction, they remember more of the content than if they listen to identical pieces. That's true. I really like to read novels or essays or economic business ideas on paper than reading them digitally. So, what do you think? Researchers found similar results with university students reading an article versus listening to a podcast of the text. Sorry, I'm reading this article for you, but are you distracted? You cannot remember the things that I read from this article? Sorry about that. So, see, that's true. You are multitasking. You just listen to my reading with an entertainment mindset. Bullshit. A related study confirms that students do more mind wandering when listening to audio than when reading. Results with younger students are similar, but with a twist. A study in Cyprus concluded that the relationship between listening and reading skills flips as children become more fluent readers. While second graders had better comprehension with listening, eighth graders showed better comprehension when reading. Researchers on learning from video versus text echoes what we see with audio. For example, researchers in Spain found that 4th through 6th graders who read texts showed far more mental integration of the material than those watching videos. The authors suspect that students read the videos more superficially because they associate video with entertainment, not learning. Is that same with you, audience? The collective research shows that digital media have common features and user practices that can constrain learning. These include diminished concentration, an entertainment mindset, a propensity to multitask, lack of a fixed physical reference point. Yeah, you don't remember the content on a page. With the digital media, it's just a screen. But with the paper, then you associate the content with a page. Lack of fixed, reduced use of annotation. Yeah, let me show you. Yeah, lack of annotation is very difficult. You cannot move the content up and down, so you go back and you just move the content. So here, everything has something to do with my reading. Lack of annotation. Notes, very difficult to make notes. And less frequent reviewing what has been read, heard, or viewed. Digital texts, audio, and video all have educational roles, especially when providing resources not available in print. However, for maximizing learning where mental focus and reflection are called for, educators and parents shouldn't assume all media are the same, even when they contain identical words. Naomi S. Barron, professor of linguistics emerita, American University, professor emeritus. Okay, this article is republished from the conversation under a Creative Commons license. Read the original article. Thanks to you, Creative Commons and BIT, whatever it is. I really appreciate your article. Today's article really supports my theory, my hypothesis that as an English learner, as a second language, studying English, reading English on paper, in a paper format is more efficient and really helpful than reading doing the same thing on screen. Even though I work for Korea Telecom KT, the number one carrier IT company in Korea, I basically support digital format than paper format than digital format. Digital texts have their own merits, but audio, video, and other digital textbooks, they have limitations. They do complement paper format reading, but still they lag behind the paper format. Let's go back and try to remember what I learned from this article. Reading digitally, format, graders, audio, video, complement, efficient scores, and so on. Yeah, I feel tired, so I'm going to go back and sleep. Hit the sack. Thanks for listening. Take care and see you tomorrow. This has been my daily English reading.